Tonight, live from that Atlanta courthouse, Chandelle Summer. She is a veteran defense attorney in the Atlanta courtrooms, including cases in front of the judge who is presiding over the Lewis case. Chandelle, great to see you again.
Good to see you too, Nancy.
Chandelle, now you've had cases in front of Judge Alice Bonner, correct?
That's correct.
So, do you think she leans toward the defense or toward the state?
I think in this particular case, she's probably going to be leaning towards the television cameras, which generally translates into leaning towards the prosecution.
Well, Chandelle, hold on just a moment. I've tried cases in front of Bonner that were televised, and I had the exact opposite opinion, that she leaned toward the defense. So why do you say that?
Well, I think she tends to use her position as judge as sort of a bully pulpit to promote her own personal opinions on situations such as domestic violence and crime in the streets and things like that. And I feel like in this situation, with it being such a high-profile case, that she's going to be very conservative in her rulings, which generally translate into being pro-prosecution rulings.
Chandelle, now you know the state is going forward under a theory called party to a crime, but nobody has placed that knife in Lewis's hand. So how is the state proceeding, and what will be the defense?
Well, I used to tell my clients that a party to a crime is the same thing as being a partner in crime. So if they can show that Ray Lewis was partners with the persons who actually did the stabbing, they can get a conviction under a party to crime theory.
And you know, a lot of states have that same theory. They may call it something different, but do you think the state will have a problem with the jury since Ray Lewis did not have the knife in his hand, according to the defense?
I think they have an extremely weak case, and I think it's only going to get weaker when you have all of the supposed eyewitnesses to the crime who have contradictory statements. It's going to be just a jumble of different versions of what everyone saw, and I think when it all boils down to the verdict, they're going to look at that and say there's not enough evidence to convict him beyond a reasonable doubt.
Oh, Chandelle, you're reminding me of the days when you heated up those courtrooms as a defense attorney. But bottom line, I say it's all in the physical evidence. If they bring in Ray Lewis's shirt covered in the victim's blood, they're going to hold that against him. But what about this statement, Chandelle? The statement is in. Why did the defense fight so hard to keep it out?
Well, obviously it locks him into a position of having not known the co-defendants, which apparently the prosecution can prove that he has known the co-defendants quite well in the past. And it was really a bad idea for the first attorney to allow Ray Lewis to make a statement to begin with. At the time I understand it wasn't even a custodial interrogation. He was just being interviewed as a witness. So he should have just clammed up, said nothing, and not been locked into a position. Now he's going to look not credible on several issues before the jury as to his prior association with the co-defendant.
You know, you're so right. One of those co-defendants is Sweeting, and in his statement, while he does not give a confession, Ray Lewis he says, I don't know him, we're not that good of a friends. But then there's a video, Chandelle, an X-rated, some say triple X-rated, that involves Ray Lewis, and Sweeting's right there, so obviously he knows him very well.
That's true, and I understand from some of the literature I've read that they can also prove that Sweeting has been a house guest in Ray Lewis's home in Miami or something like that.
Yeah, you're right. So, Chandelle, bottom line, he's not giving a confession, but I think you're right. This statement coming in does attack his credibility. Chandelle, just a few more minutes. Regarding Judge Alice Bonner, you state that she's going to use her position as a bully pulpit, but will that work for or against the defendant?
I think it's a close call. Like I said, I think when it all gets down to the verdict, they're going to look at the evidence and say that there's too many versions of the same story, that there's not any solid physical evidence to link Ray Lewis with the crime. I don't know about the shirt covered with blood. That's the first I've heard of that. I understand there was some blood on the inside of the limo, but I haven't heard anything about his shirt covered with blood. Of course, he was involved in some type of a melee, and the defense theory will be that he was trying to break up a brawl between the co-defendants and the decedents. So I think, you know, Alice Bonner is in a unique position in that all she has to do is just preside over this case and be fair, and she'll come out okay. But you're right, she has a reputation and a demeanor which is very stern and harsh, and I don't know that she'll necessarily make a great impression on the TV cameras or the potential jurors.
Chandelle Summer, as always, thanks, and please join me again as the trial progresses. Everyone, when we come back.